or you may be good with what they've said so far. What are you thinking?
I think just because it's so new to so many, just seeing on the video the conversations that you was having with the students on the reading behaviors and strategies that they need is real important.
Okay.
And I like the idea that it's okay to switch the lesson when you know they're struggling. In particular, the quotations, and you alluded to that we could switch that immediately and do like a little mini lesson per se on that, and I think that's powerful. They'll get it that way, and then if you want to carry on with the rest of the other lesson, you can. But it's okay to switch. Sometimes you gotta tailor it to fit the needs of the students.
So here's what I'm gonna say though, okay? Because communication is a miracle. Do you hear me? It's a miracle. So make sure when you have these conversations that you clarify, all right? And you may even have them tell you what they heard, because I could say to you, use that teachable moment at that moment because you noticed that, and switch that out. But what Christy heard was teachable moment. And when she heard teachable moment, in her mind, she went to using every teachable moment she could think of to use in that book. Does that make sense? That it's not that teacher is wrong or Christy's wrong in her thoughts there. She only heard that piece and her brain went to thinking about all the possibilities. So I want to clarify is my point. I don't know if you notice, I do that a lot when I work with people, is I'll say, now tell me what you heard me say, or, you know, what are we going to do, or things like that. Am I making sense? That's critical for that piece, because I firmly believe in what I said to you. If there's a red glaring thing that's going, oh my gosh, we got to do this, and I can easily do it right now, then I'm going to do that, okay? But it all goes back to the big word purpose, and knowing what my purpose is and why I'm doing it, and not just because it's something that I like. And sometimes teachable moments can become something I like if we're not careful, right? Okay, what else? Anything else?
I think teachers may need like an example schedule of what it may look like to not meet with every group every day. To see, you know, what are the other kids doing if they're not meeting with them, what should they be doing, and how that group can be staggered. And you kind of gave us a little example yesterday about, you know, you're most struggling, you want to meet with 4 to 5 times a week, and you know, but your highest may only be 2 times a week. But I know our teachers and myself, it's like I want to meet with every student every day. I want to make sure that they're getting what they need, and what that schedule looks like.
Okay.
My other thought, when you were talking about thumbs up, and Tanya and I were looking at each other, and you know, we talk about instructional conversations, making sure everybody gets a chance to express their thoughts, but having those small group norms that you have. And I think about blast and countdown, and you said the think, and it's the think, say, and how we could just carry over some of those routines to make sure we give wait time and think time.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
I don't know if this is a need or not, but I know when we were here last time, the introduction, teachers were spending too much time on that. Not that Jill did that, but I know you said I struggle with knowing how many of these bullets do I focus on during the introduction. To just have that conversation, that Jill reinforced, I focus on 1 and 3 always. But to have that as part of, to help everybody if that's a struggle, and I don't know if it is or not.
And I pick it up on Tanya, because that goes back to the framework of guided reading, and I really don't want teachers to have to focus on honing in on every part at one time. So just taking that introduction piece right now, maybe, and just making sure they understand, like Tanya said, that first and last bullet, and maybe making sure we say the strategy, like today was the word connection, you know, make sure we're making that connection. And there was one more. Oh, how you talked about using stickies to outline your intro instead of going. So to me, those are little things that we can take back to teachers that may help them with just the intro part.
Right.
of
But
the
it's
framework.
efficient though, it's
Yeah.
efficient,
Yes.
you know, stick with it, just go through it.
I was thinking of a couple of things, Joe. To encourage teachers to trust their internal teacher compass and be brave and remember that the folder is an example of a script. It's a resource. I know when it's new, you feel like you have to follow it. We've talked a lot about that, but really bringing that home to teachers to be familiar that it's a resource and that admin are not looking for your delivery of the script, but more so the instructional impact on student learning.
Right.
And then a big piece for the district is comprehension. So maybe at the end, maybe a little conversation with teachers about how kids can be told now as readers today in your silent sustained reading, you can use these same strategies to understand what's happening or whatever. So the carryover into as a reader now you on your own can XYZ. But that comprehension piece may be something third grade might want to think more about.
And I think the power that I wanna make sure that you two communicate is that, going back to what Ruth said, the administrators aren't gonna be looking for you to implement every piece of that. They're part of this PL because they wanna have an understanding. So for y'all to go back and say, look, Mr. Huff and Ms. Hart and Ms. Webb is not looking at us to be able to do all of this, but these are the pieces that they are looking for, and it's all about those strategies.
And it's basically what Tanya's saying is the framework.
Yeah,
That's
The
it.
non-negotiable is the framework. What's the framework?
that's it.
Introduction, reading the text, discussing and revisiting, teaching point, word work, and writing. Remember, writing doesn't have to be every day, but we need to see it in the week, right? That's what's non-negotiable, okay? The bullets are what's negotiable. And that's the big thing that we want them to take away too, okay? So here's what I'm thinking, all right? You guys are making lots of great ideas that you want to share. What I want to do on this particular note, okay, is not that this is all you can do, okay? But I want to make this doable in the sense that what we're going to put here, okay, is going to be what your administrators will be working towards making sure and helping in the support, okay? It'll be that when I come to, did I say that wrong?
You got LCES on
Who is LCES?
I just thought it was my vision. I was like, they said this, that's something else.
I think that's what I was trying to do, and I just
Where you were at Monday?
I'm trying to remember. No, Monday I
Lincoln
was in
County,
Lake
she's in
Highlands.
Lincoln County.
Yeah, that's right.
Lake
Okay,
I was thinking L.
so point being though is that I want this doable, but I want it to be where, like, when I come back and we do our status checks, I'm not expecting perfection. But what I want to be able to see is I want to be able to see that teachers are working on, you can tell a difference in the introduction. Does that make sense? So that's why what Thesa is saying is we don't want to make it where it's about every component this first time. You can talk about every component in your conversations with them, but the next steps they need to realize that these are the pieces that we want them to really work towards fine tuning, okay? So that when we come back, that's what it will look like. You with me? Because I want it doable. I don't want to overwhelm us way too much. But our goal is that by the end of the year, we have done all the pieces so that they are comfortable in all the pieces more so than they are now, okay? So, I'm gonna put introduction because that was one of my goals for today. Introduction, reading behaviors, comprehension, and pacing of lesson, okay? If we're doing these things the way we should, the pacing of the lesson is gonna get better and better, all right? And I think you even saw that today, even though we didn't get all through all the pieces, we saw how the pacing was getting better because we didn't have to do all the bullets in the introduction, etc., right? Even the comprehension, right? Okay. So I'm gonna put down introduction, okay? And then I'm gonna use a couple of notes I made yesterday, because it worked out really well yesterday, and this works out today too, okay? For my introduction, if I can get my picture to come back up. I'm gonna put down that with introduction, it's gonna help with pacing. Okay, I'm putting the word pacing out here. And I'm gonna put first and last bullet. So I'm not gonna write everything out in like sentence form, but I'm putting some key things next to it to help you remember. Those are the things we wanna make sure that we help cover with them, right? And then I'm also gonna put this that we talked about, what's needed for students. That's what we're looking at here. It's not all of these bullets, but what's needed for them. And I'm gonna ahead and put, because I think it's important you go ahead and start mentioning a little bit. What's important for them to read successfully, but have a productive struggle. And y'all can just kind of explain that, I think, right? Just think about it as a productive struggle, all right? Did you say Blake was having a productive struggle? Yes. Yes.
I got it early.
And even number 4. Mhm. But even your others had a little bit because they had to slow down. You see what I'm saying? But a productive struggle to me is like when they get to a word and I haven't pre-taught every word in there. The words that I really want to go to are the ones that I know for sure are gonna trip them up because there's nothing there and they don't have anything in their background to help them with it. But if there's a multisyllabic word that's in there that I know they could break those syllables apart and read them because they're all CVC words, I'm not gonna pre-teach that word. You see what I mean? Because I wanna see if they can use what they know to figure it out. It's that kind of thing is what I'm talking. Those are productive struggles. If they have something in here that they can use to do it, then it's gonna still be a little difficult, but they can do it. That's a productive struggle. Okay? All right? And then I heard you say that we want to talk to them about the conversation. So I'm going to put conversational. Okay. And I'm going to go back up here. I'm going to put this as a we do, because to me that's what guided reading is. You and the kids are in this together, but who's doing most of the work? We want the kids doing it, okay? And so conversational, and this is where I'm gonna put those symbols, and I'm gonna write the word out, routines. Because as you talked about a minute ago, and I think Connie mentioned it, there may be other routines that you're using with other things that you can make as far as the norms. And it's not that you've got to use all of these terms. I just put all these terms out here for you to help you in your planning when you think about that, okay? All right? Let's see. All right. I think because of things I've heard you say, is I'm going to put down understanding how to use the lesson card. Okay? Because in that, you've mentioned several things. You mentioned the fact of how the teaching point. You mentioned how the writing could be optional, you say, but also how you could send it back. So I'm going to put those under that. That's the big thing, is understanding how to truly use it, okay? Does that make sense? So here's what I'm going to put out. I'm going to put in parentheses, teaching point, gonna put down writing. Okay. And I'm gonna put down in that comprehension, because to me, there were some critical things about comprehension we did today in our planning. What was it to you? I wanna see if you and I are thinking on the same wavelengths. When we planned to begin to implement comprehension, and we were using the lesson card, what was critical of how we used that?
Pulling from past experiences.
Pulling from past experiences,
Ask why they think the way they think.
Asking
they
why,
wrote the text,
uh-huh.
Like find something.
and using that first bullet, remember, to begin the conversation. Using those questions to only if we need to guide,
Okay.
remember? Pulling out if there's a specific question we wanted to ask, which we did. We wanted to find out the message, right? Could they find the message in this text that they were trying to get across? And the other thing you can think about is that because of comprehension, you might even could show them how you went to something here in making that connection if they needed help. We didn't have to go there, okay? Because we already had an idea. My purpose for going there today, though, too, was to show you that you've got a resource, that if you're working on something comprehension-wise, and you're trying to figure out, well, how do I go about helping them, you know, do this, what do I say, what do I do? You can go to this resource and find something that can possibly help you. You see what I mean? But I'm not putting that here. I'm just putting how to show how it worked with a teaching point, writing, and comprehension. We already have an introduction, okay? Then you also said the notice part. Notice what readers do, okay? And I think that is doable for third grade. I think if we add too much more at this present moment, it can begin to overwhelm us, okay? All right. Now, yesterday, how I did this is I also did the next step where I put down here school admin, district admin, and in Connie's case yesterday, I was able to put Connie beside some of these, but I also heard a couple of specifics in here that Connie, I forgot one thing. I forgot several things. Did you notice that? You didn't say anything.
So we're going in a different direction. You wanted from yesterday.
I did, but I forgot something, Tandy. PLCs, okay. Implement. Okay. Alright, implement PLCs, okay? Alright, and I've got another thought on that other. So I'm gonna put, you call it instructional coach, not reading coach. Instructional coach. School admin. And district, okay? All right. So, what I see, coach-wise, okay, specifically, and this is something that we can talk about a little bit more this afternoon, is helping them in the scheduling piece, okay? Mm-hmm. And so we can talk about that, and that can be something to help those teachers see. In that same case, though, when she's doing this, it will be a part of PLCs, so y'all will be able to chime in. But that way, she can put a little bit more time in the thought process behind it, because you've got a lot more to do. Does that make sense? Okay. You can share with her how you make yours work, as you're thinking through it also, but really put her in the prime role of trying to make that. Does that make sense there? Okay. And then, you're also gonna help with the PLCs, okay? And I'm gonna put out the word video because we're gonna talk about today at coaching how we can utilize what you've done today with your videos and how to make it very purposeful and useful for your teachers, all right? So that's another piece of, I'm just going back to my notes from what y'all said. Because to me, the next steps have to be what you feel like is, not me telling you what you have to do. Because when you see the need for your school and you see that's the next step, then it's gonna happen. If I sat here and I said, well, I think you need to do this, and you need to do this, and you need to do this, it might not be what's really important to you right this moment, and that's why I wanna go that way. That's how I do things, okay? All right. Was there anything else coach-wise that anybody saw that I missed? I think I got everything else, didn't I? Okay,
Cross grade level.
thank you, yes. And
I
that'll
asked-
be, I think that's gonna be a coach thing more, because that's what I told you, wasn't it? Okay.
For the lead teachers to,
Mhm.
okay. And then I was talking about like even vertically, you know, I mean, we did cross grade level within school, but should we do some of that school to school?
That might be something we do the next time. Give everybody a chance this first time to feel more, and then maybe next semester or so we might look at that.
Okay.
Yeah. What I want to happen, okay? Don't shoot me. This is one time I am going to ask that you do this, okay? Is I would love for you to have an opportunity, if I can spell and type it right at the same time. Hang on, I cannot write and talk anymore at the same time. It's like I can't chew bubble gum and walk. Okay. So what I'd like to happen is this, because I think it's very beneficial, is I would love for the fact of in our school this year, sometime possibly before in January when I come, I think January, the week that January 25th is, whenever that week is, okay? That you have an opportunity that she could go to a 4th grade teacher, okay? Lead teacher, or the lead teachers who's doing the same thing they're doing, and see what the students in their guided reading, where they're headed. You see what I mean? Same thing as 4th grade coming down and seeing where they come from in a 3rd grade classroom. So, and same with 5th too, but not 2nd too, okay? I would like to see some of that, because to me, that is huge learning, and I would love to hear what you learn from it, is my point.
I'd love to see other teachers take
Yeah.
it too.
Yeah. And I think that would be so doable, because it's only about a 20 to 30 minute time frame. And surely there's somebody like a para or something who could cover the class just for like 20 or 30 minutes for them to do that. So it's not like a whole reading block, to give them enough time just to have an opportunity to see what kids in a different grade level are doing in guided reading. And then what we want to do, what Connie's talking about, is like, I want y'all to feel comfortable before we move into even school things. Like maybe even allowing 2nd grade to go down to 1st grade, and 1st grade to come up to 2nd grade. However, I'm gonna say this. If you guys want to go ahead and make that happen before January 25th, that's fine with me. You can do more than what I put here. Does that make sense? So if it works out and you want to have some of your 1st graders come, and it works out that it worked for you to come, and you'd like for some of your 2nd graders to see some of what the 1st graders are doing, that's fine with me, okay? But I'm just not gonna put it as part of what these next steps are, so it's, is that good? Admin, the thing that I ask for you guys is simply 2 things. One is to help them in the guided reading planning, in the part of understanding what Tanya was making clear a few moments ago about that it's the framework. Help those teachers see that that's your expectation, and that it's not every bullet, okay? That it goes back to the framework and being responsive to their learners. This first time, what I would like to do is, is that the times you have a chance to get into classrooms with some walkthroughs, and I call them like informal walkthroughs, okay? In the sense that it doesn't have to be a thing that you're always doing, but it could be. But when you're in there, take notice of the introduction and the pacing of the lesson, just to see if we still need work on it. Because you're my eyes and ears right now, and same thing with the district admin, they'll do some of that too from time to time. they're my eyes and ears right now to know that when I come back and we're working some more, is that still an issue, or are we past that to we're ready to move to the next point? That making sense?
Mhm.
And is that doable for everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. So then what I will do is I'm gonna take a picture of this because I usually copy and paste my pictures into my site report form that I have to fill out for my office, so I don't have to retype it. I cheat a little bit. And then I'm gonna give this to you guys. This will be yours to have, so that y'all can have it to use. I haven't ever been to your office or whatever. It might be that you put it up in your office or room or wherever you happen to be, closet, you know. I've been in a closet before, to be honest, I've been there. Anyway, but that way you have it. You can use it in PLCs, or y'all can use it to refer to and talk about in your debriefings or whatever, okay? Y'all good?
Right.
All right, one last question, I'm gonna let you go. How did this impact you today? And if it didn't impact you, I also wanna know that too. Because if I didn't impact you, then I'm not doing my job. And I need to go back to the drawing board. So what was impactful today for you?
I feel better about what I'm doing.
Good,
In my group, I'm a little affirmation.
good,
This is the right way to do it. Sort of.
Excellent.
You know, with
Mhm.
helpful hints too,
Yes.
and pointers to try.
yes. You know, we're always learning,
Mm-hmm.
always learning. And so, that's important.
I think a lot of our teachers think you have to stick to the script. It's not a script.
Mhm.
It's what works best for your kids. When you see it, adjust. You know, you can always make adjustments.
Right,
But as long as you're sticking to the framework, make
Yes.
adjustments.
that's
You know,
right.
you gotta make adjustments. That's
Yeah.
what we do as
Yeah.
teachers, you know, make adjustments.
Yeah.
I just appreciate again how you said, like, after we listened to him read,
Mhm.
you know, I noticed you doing this, and that was good. I mean, I just needed that reminder to just always do that.
It got filed in that back file
It
and
did,
headed toward
because
it.
sometimes it's just like, well then, you know, we're gonna do this and we got this to
Yeah.
get accomplished. I think sometimes we just need to step back and just be reminded that, you know,
Yeah,
you did this and
Yeah.
you did a great job,
That's
thank
right.
you, and just remind them all.
good,
Yeah.
good. Anything else? Anybody else? How about you, Charlotte? Anything from you? I'm putting you on the spot, but.
I don't know, I think just, it's gonna be great, you know, like you said, affirmation that what you're doing is good. And I see a lot of the teachers that are doing great things, you know, with guided reading, and then having the video for them to watch, to see, get good ideas of what to do.
Yeah.
You know, I personally loved in the comprehension when you were asking them the questions, you know, just to sort of bring that out, because that's definitely an area that we
Yeah.
need to focus on
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. Good.
Just having all of this, I think is great for the teachers.
And the biggest thing I
Big
want,
examples.
absolutely, the biggest thing I wanna know is, does it help you have a better idea of what guided reading
Right.
looks like?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We'll go deeper next time,
Right.
okay? Thank y'all
Thank you.
so much. And, you have my, email address. I am gonna ask one favor of the two of you, okay? Do y'all have my email address? If not, write it down right
I was
now.
gonna say, I don't know where, would it be on the email from you?
It's VICKI dot Dill, DILL,
What's the deal,
at
Thank Ocean.
BBBEDU.com. Okay? The only reason I'm gonna ask you to send me an email is simply for this. It's not a checkup on you, it's not a got you on you. Do you hear me? But I want you to go back and I want you to take the time to process through those things that you wrote earlier about yourselves, okay? And I want you just to tell me one or two. I don't want the whole list. You can work on the whole list. I want one or two items that you really want to work on between now and January, okay? Because all that's gonna happen is that when we meet in January, I'm gonna just simply say, Marjorie, I know you said you wanted to work on this and this, tell me what you've learned from it. Okay, so it's not a got you, but it's my way of being able to hear what's happening in your world and what you're learning from what you wanted to grow in. All right? So it's real easy if you'll just send those two things to my email address. Okay? I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And your kids were wonderful.
Thank you.
So
Appreciate
sweet.
it.
So sweet.
Thank you so being so easy going.
Oh!
Appreciate it.
And
I don't feel it all.
encouraging.
Yes.
Like,
You know.
yeah.
Good. So you don't feel threatened at all?
No, no.
Good.